There's a peculiar moment that happens when success feels within reach. You can almost taste it, almost touch it, and then something inside you pulls the emergency brake. You watch yourself make choices that defy logic, sabotage opportunities that you've worked months to create, and destroy relationships that matter to you. It's not accidents or bad luck. It's something far more deliberate and far more confusing. You become your own worst enemy, and the strangest part is you can see it happening while it's happening. Maybe you've been there, standing at the edge of something you've always wanted, and instead of stepping forward, you find reasons to step back. You procrastinate on the project that could change your career. You pick fights with people who care about you. You make decisions that feel safe in the moment but devastate your future self. And afterwards, when the opportunity has passed and the damage is done, you sit there wondering why you always do this to yourself. Self-sabotage isn't just making bad choices. It's the systematic destruction of your own progress by someone who knows exactly where to strike. Yourself. It's the psychological equivalent of building a house and then setting it on fire because you're afraid someone might not like the architecture. The most unsettling aspect is how intelligent it appears from the inside. Your mind crafts perfectly reasonable explanations for why you should quit, why you should settle, why you should choose the path that leads away from what you actually want. This isn't about willpower or motivation. Those are surface-level concepts that miss the deeper machinery at work. Self-sabotage operates from a place that's far more primal and far more protective than conscious decision-making. It's your nervous system trying to keep you safe in ways that no longer serve you. Understanding this pattern isn't just about breaking bad habits. It's about recognizing that part of you is working against your conscious goals for reasons that made perfect sense at some point in your development. The psychology behind self-sabotage reveals something profound about human nature. We're not just driven by the desire to succeed. We're equally driven by the need to remain consistent with who we believe ourselves to be. And when success threatens that identity, when growth requires us to become someone unfamiliar, the mind activates ancient defense systems designed to maintain the status quo, even if that status quo is keeping us small. What makes this particularly devastating is how sophisticated these internal defense mechanisms have become. They don't announce themselves with obvious self-destruction. They whisper logical-sounding reasons why this isn't the right time, why you're not ready, why you should wait just a little longer. They manufacture emergencies that require your immediate attention, right when you're about to make progress on something important. They create elaborate justifications for why giving up is actually the wise choice. The roots of self-sabotage often trace back to early experiences where success felt dangerous. Maybe you were raised in an environment where standing out brought unwanted attention. Maybe achievement created jealousy in people you loved. Maybe failure felt safer than the pressure that came with succeeding. Your young mind learned that playing small was a survival strategy, and that lesson embedded itself so deeply that it still runs your life decades later. Attachment theory offers crucial insight into how these patterns form. Children who grow up in unpredictable emotional environments often develop what psychologists call disorganized attachment. They simultaneously crave connection and fear it. They want success but panic when it arrives. As adults, this translates into approaching their goals with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. They sabotage not because they don't want to succeed, but because success feels fundamentally unsafe. The nervous system doesn't distinguish between physical danger and emotional threat. When you're on the verge of a breakthrough that could change your life, your body might respond as if you're standing on the edge of a cliff. Heart rate increases, breathing becomes shallow, thoughts turn catastrophic. This physiological response isn't dramatic overreaction. It's your system trying to protect you from what it perceives as mortal danger, the danger of becoming someone new. Self-sabotage shows up differently for different people, but certain patterns repeat with startling consistency. The perfectionist who never finishes anything because it's never quite good enough. The procrastinator who waits until panic becomes the only motivator, ensuring that success remains limited by time constraints. The people pleaser who says yes to everything except the things that would actually move their life forward. The rebel who automatically rejects anything that looks like conventional success, even when that success would serve their deeper values. There's also the imposter syndrome variant, where success feels like fraud waiting to be discovered. These individuals sabotage not because they don't believe in their abilities, but because they believe their abilities are somehow illegitimate. They've convinced themselves that any achievement is just luck, timing, or deception, and they live in constant fear of being exposed as inadequate. So they quit before anyone can figure out they don't belong. The relationship saboteur presents another fascinating pattern. These individuals unconsciously destroy connections right when they're becoming meaningful. They pick fights over minor issues, create drama where none existed, or simply disappear when intimacy deepens. It's not that they don't want love. It's that love feels like vulnerability, and vulnerability feels like danger. So they strike first, ending the relationship on their terms rather than risking abandonment. Career sabotage often manifests as consistent underperformance right before promotions, or choosing jobs that are clearly beneath someone's capabilities. It's the talented artist who never shows their work, the brilliant entrepreneur who never launches their business, the natural leader who always takes supporting roles. They've internalized beliefs about their worth that make success feel like living a lie. What's particularly cruel about self-sabotage is how it disguises itself as wisdom. Your mind doesn't tell you that you're afraid of success. It tells you that you're being realistic about your limitations. It doesn't say you're terrified of change. It says you're being responsible by not taking unnecessary risks. It doesn't admit you're protecting yourself from potential rejection. It says you're saving time by not pursuing opportunities that probably wouldn't work out anyway. The internal dialogue of self-sabotage sounds remarkably rational. It points out all the ways things could go wrong. It highlights your past failures as evidence of future disappointment. It reminds you of everyone who might be disappointed or jealous if you succeed. It creates elaborate scenarios where your success somehow hurts people you care about. This isn't random negative thinking. It's a coordinated psychological campaign designed to keep you exactly where you are. Understanding the neuroscience behind these patterns reveals why willpower alone isn't enough to overcome them. Self-sabotage operates primarily through the limbic system, the brain's emotional and survival center. This ancient part of your nervous system processes information much faster than your rational mind and has the power to override conscious decisions when it perceives threat. By the time you're consciously aware of sabotaging yourself, the pattern is already in motion. The prefrontal cortex, where logic and planning occur, develops much later in human evolution and individual development. It's sophisticated but slow, and it can be easily overwhelmed when the limbic system sounds alarm bells. This is why you can intellectually understand that you're sabotaging yourself while simultaneously feeling powerless to stop it. You're witnessing a conflict between different parts of your brain that operate on completely different timelines and priorities. Breaking free from self-sabotage isn't about developing more discipline or motivation. It's about understanding the underlying fears that drive these patterns and learning to work with your nervous system rather than against it. The part of you that sabotages isn't malicious. It's trying to protect you based on outdated information about what safety requires. The first step in dismantling self-sabotage involves recognizing that your protector has been working overtime with obsolete instructions. Imagine a security guard who's been told to keep everyone out of a building, but the building changed ownership years ago and now needs visitors to function. The guard isn't doing anything wrong. They're following the last set of instructions they received. Your nervous system operates similarly, running programs installed during childhood or trauma that made sense then but create chaos now. This recognition requires a particular kind of compassion for yourself, not the surface-level self-care that involves bubble baths and positive affirmations, but the deeper acknowledgement that every act of self-sabotage was once an act of self-preservation. The part of you that destroys opportunities learned to do so because opportunities once felt dangerous. The part that pushes people away learned to do so because closeness once meant pain. These aren't character flaws. They're survival adaptations that have outlived their usefulness. The challenge is that these patterns feel like identity rather than behavior. When you've been sabotaging yourself for years, it becomes woven into your sense of who you are. You start to believe you're just someone who doesn't finish things, who can't maintain relationships, who isn't meant for success. This identity fusion makes change feel like death. To stop sabotaging feels like losing yourself entirely, which is why the pattern persists even when you consciously want it to end. Breaking this fusion requires what psychologists call differentiation, learning to separate your true self from your protective patterns. The real you isn't the one who sabotages. The real you is the one who dreams, who hopes, who wants to grow and contribute and connect. The saboteur is just a bodyguard who's been given too much authority and needs to be reassigned rather than fired. This reassignment process begins with curiosity rather than criticism. When you catch yourself sabotaging, instead of attacking yourself for doing it again, try to understand what triggered the response. What happened right before your system activated? Was it a compliment that felt too generous? An opportunity that seemed too good to be true? A relationship that was getting too close? The trigger often reveals the original wound that created the protective response. Most people discover that their sabotage patterns cluster around specific themes. Achievement saboteurs often carry beliefs about deserving success or fears about the responsibilities that come with it. Relationship saboteurs frequently struggle with trust, vulnerability, or beliefs about their lovability. Creative saboteurs might be protecting themselves from criticism or comparison. The specific flavor of your sabotage reveals the specific fears that need attention. What's fascinating is how these patterns often contain wisdom alongside dysfunction. The perfectionist who never finishes anything has learned something important about the pain of criticism. The procrastinator who waits until the last minute has discovered that panic can override other fears. The people pleaser who neglects their own goals has mastered the art of avoiding conflict. The sabotage isn't just destruction. It's a distorted attempt to meet legitimate needs for safety, acceptance, and control. Understanding this allows you to separate the wisdom from the dysfunction. You can keep the insights while changing the strategies. The perfectionist can maintain high standards while learning that done is better than perfect. The procrastinator can use time pressure strategically rather than accidentally. The people pleaser can care about others while also caring about themselves. The saboteur's intelligence gets redirected rather than eliminated. The nervous system responds much better to gradual change than dramatic overhauls. Trying to eliminate self-sabotage overnight often triggers even more intense protective responses. Instead, the process works better when you start building tolerance for success in small doses. Take smaller risks that feel manageable. Accept smaller compliments that don't overwhelm your system. Make smaller changes that don't threaten your identity. Your nervous system needs evidence that growth can happen safely before it will stop interfering. This gradual approach applies to every area where sabotage shows up. If you sabotage relationships, practice staying present during minor moments of closeness, rather than trying to fix your entire attachment style at once. If you sabotage career opportunities, practice completing small projects before attempting major ones. If you sabotage creative expression, practice sharing imperfect work with trusted friends before exposing yourself to broader criticism. The goal isn't to become fearless. Fear serves important functions and shouldn't be eliminated entirely. The goal is to become more conscious about which fears serve you and which ones imprison you. Some fear protects you from genuine danger, other fear protects you from imaginary threats that keep you trapped in patterns that no longer fit your life. Learning to distinguish between protective fear and limiting fear becomes a crucial skill in overcoming self-sabotage. This distinction requires developing what therapists call a wise mind, the part of you that can observe your thoughts and emotions without being overwhelmed by them. When sabotage urges arise, wise mind can pause and investigate. Is this fear protecting me from real danger or from growth that feels dangerous? Is this resistance based on present reality or past conditioning? Is this caution serving my actual values or just my need to stay comfortable? Developing wise mind takes practice because most of us live primarily in emotional mind or rational mind. Emotional mind feels everything intensely but lacks perspective. Rational mind analyzes everything thoroughly but lacks heart. Wise mind integrates both, bringing emotional intelligence to rational analysis and rational clarity to emotional experience. From this integrated perspective, you can respond to sabotage impulses with both compassion and wisdom. The process isn't linear. You'll have breakthroughs followed by setbacks, moments of clarity followed by confusion, periods of progress followed by regression. This isn't failure. It's how change actually works in complex systems like human beings. Each apparent setback contains information about what still needs attention, what fears still need acknowledgement, what parts of you still need reassurance that growth is safe. What emerges from this process isn't the elimination of all protective instincts, but the refinement of them. Your system learns to distinguish between opportunities and threats more accurately. It stops treating every chance for growth like a life or death situation. It develops more nuanced responses to success, intimacy, visibility, and change. The saboteur doesn't disappear, but transforms from destroyer to discerning guardian. This transformation requires patience because the saboteur has been your primary protector for so long. It's held the weight of keeping you safe through countless situations where safety felt uncertain. Learning to trust that you can handle success, intimacy, visibility, and change without its interference takes time. Your nervous system needs repeated evidence that these experiences can unfold without catastrophe before it relaxes its vigilance. The irony is that most self-sabotage stems from trying to control outcomes by preventing them entirely. If you never try, you never fail. If you never get close, you never get hurt. If you never succeed, you never have to worry about losing what you've gained. The saboteur operates under the illusion that avoiding risk eliminates suffering, but this strategy creates its own form of pain. The ache of unrealized potential, the grief of connections never made, the regret of chances never taken. What's particularly insidious is how self-sabotage adapts to your growth. Just when you think you've overcome one pattern, it shape-shifts into something more subtle. The procrastinator might stop delaying, but start overcommitting instead, ensuring exhaustion prevents real progress. The perfectionist might start finishing projects but then refuse to share them, keeping their work safely hidden from evaluation. The people pleaser might set boundaries but feel so guilty about it that they sabotage their own needs in other ways. This adaptability reveals something profound about the intelligence of protective systems. They're not mindless habits, but sophisticated responses that evolve with your circumstances. This means that overcoming self-sabotage requires ongoing awareness rather than a one-time fix. You're not solving a problem, but engaging in a lifelong relationship with the parts of yourself that want to keep you safe. The relationship aspect is crucial because many people approach their saboteur with hostility, treating it like an enemy to defeat. This internal warfare often backfires because the saboteur interprets attack as confirmation that danger is present. Instead of relaxing its defenses, it doubles down, creating even more elaborate forms of protection. The alternative approach treats the saboteur as a well-meaning but misguided ally who needs better information about current reality. This reframing changes everything. Instead of fighting your protective instincts, you start collaborating with them. When sabotage impulses arise, you can acknowledge the concern without automatically acting on it. You might say something like, "I notice the part of me that's trying to protect me from potential disappointment by encouraging me to quit this project. I appreciate that protection, and I want to let that part know that I can handle disappointment now in ways I couldn't when this pattern first developed." This internal dialogue isn't just positive thinking or self-talk. It's a genuine attempt to update the operating system that runs your protective responses. Your nervous system needs current information about your resources, your support systems, your resilience, and your ability to handle whatever outcomes emerge from taking risks. Most sabotage patterns operate on outdated data about your capacity to cope with challenge. The updating process works best when you provide evidence rather than arguments. Your system doesn't respond well to being told that it's wrong about danger. It responds much better to experiences that demonstrate safety. This means gradually exposing yourself to the things you typically sabotage, while staying present and resourced throughout the experience. Each time you successfully navigate a challenging situation without catastrophe, your system gains new data about what's actually possible. Support systems play a crucial role in this process because self-sabotage often thrives in isolation. When you're alone with your fears, they can expand to fill all available mental space. When you're connected to people who see your worth and potential, those fears have to compete with external reflection of your capabilities. This doesn't mean surrounding yourself with people who only tell you what you want to hear, but rather finding relationships where you can be honest about your struggles while still receiving encouragement to grow. The quality of these relationships matters more than the quantity. One person who truly understands your patterns and supports your growth can be more valuable than dozens of superficial connections. These deeper relationships provide what psychologists call earned security. Even if your early attachments were problematic, you can develop new templates for safety and connection through healing relationships in adulthood. Therapy can accelerate this process because it provides a structured environment for exploring sabotage patterns without the usual consequences. A skilled therapist can help you understand the origins of your protective strategies while supporting you in developing new ones. They can witness your growth process without trying to fix or change you, which itself becomes a corrective experience for many people whose early relationships involved conditional acceptance. But formal therapy isn't the only path to healing these patterns. Any relationship or practice that increases your capacity to stay present with difficult emotions can help. Mindfulness meditation, creative expression, physical movement, spiritual practices, and meaningful work all provide opportunities to practice being with discomfort without automatically moving away from it. The key is consistency rather than intensity. Small daily practices often create more lasting change than dramatic periodic interventions. What begins to emerge through this work is a different relationship with uncertainty. Self-sabotage often stems from intolerance for not knowing how things will turn out. The saboteur tries to control outcomes by preventing them, choosing the certainty of limitation over the uncertainty of possibility. But life is inherently uncertain, and trying to eliminate that uncertainty often eliminates life's richness along with its risks. Learning to tolerate uncertainty doesn't mean becoming reckless or naive about real dangers. It means developing the capacity to move forward in the face of unknown outcomes, trusting in your ability to respond to whatever emerges. This trust isn't blind faith, but confidence built through repeated experiences of successfully navigating challenges you weren't sure you could handle. The journey from self-sabotage to self-trust isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about catching yourself in the act of pulling your own emergency brake and asking what that part of you is trying to protect. It's about treating your inner saboteur not as an enemy to defeat, but as a bodyguard who needs new training for the life you're actually living now. Because the truth is, you were never broken. You were just protecting yourself with strategies that once made sense, but now keep you smaller than you're meant to be. The same intelligence that learned to sabotage can learn to support. And maybe that's the most beautiful paradox of all. Your greatest obstacle and your greatest ally have always been the same person. You.